This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I call to order the meeting of the Town Commission on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Executive Order Number 20-69 issued by the Office of the Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, municipalities may conduct meetings of their governing boards without a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location, utilizing telecommunications, media technology such as telephonic or video conferencing, as provided by Section 120.54, paren 5, paren B2, of Florida statute. Procedures for public comment will be explained by the town clerk shortly. The member of the Town Commission appearing remotely for this meeting is Commissioner Phil Bessler. Clerk Armstrong, could you please provide us the information about the virtual meeting?
The agenda, the materials for each item on the agenda, and the notice regarding the virtual meeting were made available beginning April 29, 2020 on the town's website and is also available in the town clerk's office during business hours. The public was given the opportunity to submit public comments to the town clerk prior to the meeting. The town has developed several new methods ensuring public comment for virtual meetings. Any persons may be heard by the town commission through teleconference and upon registering with the town clerk pursuant to the published notice to speak for not more than 3 minutes on any item on the agenda. Since this is a virtual meeting, as authorized by Governor of the State of Florida, members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by typing their name in the chat box along with the agenda item they would like to speak about. When public comment is called by the mayor during each agenda item, the town clerk will unmute each person in the order received that has placed their name in the chat box and ask them to speak at that time. The option is available for those using a computer with speaking capabilities or through a smartphone application. Persons who cannot access the meeting by teleconferencing using a computer with speaker capabilities or through a smart application can call Town Hall at 561-732-2635, notify the Town Hall staff of their public comment. The Town Hall staff will notify the town clerk, who shall read the public comment into record. These public comments options established for the virtual town commission meeting comply with section 286.0114 and section 120.54 Florida statutes.
Thank you. Clerk Armstrong, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bessler?
Here.
Vice Mayor Cos?
Here.
Mayor DeHassis?
Present.
Commissioner Herbert?
Here.
Commissioner Bichelek?
Present.
Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions, deletions, modifications to the agenda this evening? Hearing none, I'll a motion for approval.
I make the motion to approve.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, let's start with our presentations today. I'd like to welcome our town auditor, Ron Bennett, who will be presenting the fiscal year 19 annual audit.
I do have Mr. Ron Bennett on here. Can you hear us, or are you able to speak to us, Mr. Bennett? Ron, are you able to hear us to present the annual audit report?
Okay, it sounds like we have some technical difficulty. We'll circle back. The commission has all received copies of the audit report, though, and we've had them in our possession for over a week. So, how would you suggest we proceed at this time? I will have Jean reach out to Ron to see if there's an additional way he can present to you tonight. And at the end, you do need to accept the annual audit report. Okay. And there are timing issues with this because we have to file with the state.
Yes, he can hear us, but for some reason, we're not able to hear him speak. Ron, please call Town Hall. We are open to taking phone calls. And then we can try to get you situated so we can present at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next up would have been a legislative update by Senator Berman. Senator Lori Berman provides us updates annually in person. However, due to the pandemic, she provided a report to us in the written format. I'd like to thank Senator Berman for taking the time to provide the update to us, and the report can be found on the town's website for public viewing. Okay. Clerk Armstrong, will you please help us in reading the announcements?
The next regular Town Commission meeting will be held on June 1st at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, and a budget meeting will be held on June 1st at 2 p.m. at Town Hall. The next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on June 15th at 8 a.m. at Town Hall. The next Septic to Sewer Citizens Advisory Committee meeting will be held on June 11th at 8:30 a.m. at Town Hall. Residents who wish to sign up to receive important town notification and news through Civic Ready should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, now is the time to sign up. Next on the agenda is public comment. The mayor will invite the public to speak on the Town Commission on any item that is not printed on the agenda. Public comment on specific agenda items may be made later in the meeting when the items are taken up. There is a one-time per item 3-minute individual limit for public comment that will be timed by the town clerk. Public comment is not meant to be a question and answer period, and there will be no dialogue. Anyone wishing to speak during the public comment will approach the podium and state their name and address for the record. And see the town clerk after speaking to fill out a speaker card in order for the minutes to be properly recorded. The Town Commission would like to remind everyone that individual addressing the Town Commission shall use proper language, and that the language which includes profanity or cursing, or which is presented in an aggressive or threatening manner towards the Commission, staff, or other members in the public is prohibited. All comments shall be directed to the presiding officers of the meeting and not to individual commissioners, staff, or members of the public. Those addressing the Commission shall avoid personal attacks against anyone. The presiding officer has the authority to remove individuals from the Town Commission chambers if such conduct persists after the presiding officers have provided a warning that the individual is in violation of this policy.
Okay, thank you. I now open the floor to public comment. Clerk Armstrong?
Yes, I do have some public comment that was submitted. I have a public comment from Stella Kolb. She lives on Beachway. For many years now, I have come to these meetings and spoken my mind about issues important to the town. It has been my constitutional right and my civic duty to do so, and I intend to keep doing so as long as I can. We are dealing with an awful virus which requires us to stay apart from one another and to disinfect surfaces and to wear face masks and to take other precautions. I do not believe that viruses requires me to give up my constitutional rights, in particular the right to be present at meetings of town government. Steps could be taken to allow public presence at town meetings without requiring us to participate by computer hookup that I, for one, do not feel comfortable using. We could sit with distance between us and we could all wear masks. I sold 180 of them. Some of you may have one on. And we could disinfect surfaces. But you chose to deal with this by telling me to stay home and watch the proceedings on my screen. I do not accept that as a real substitute for my constitutional right to be present and speak and listen while public business is done. Your ICE solution does not work for me. It is unacceptable. You must do better. You must stand up for my rights.
Thank you.
Okay, and I do have another public comment from Polly Joa, 35 Hersey, regarding the commission and workshop meetings held in February and March. When the Town Commission Ridge was faced with overdevelopment in Brighton, we residents were encouraged to be organized, show up for meetings, let our presence be heard, and voice our objections. And many of us did just that, led by our mayor of the time and our now current mayor. Fast forward to current times. When residents show up to express objection to the commission, regarding an ordinance that we feel strongly about, they are referred to as a mob and looked upon as an us versus them mentality. Words spoken from commissioners. When residents show up to speak, obey the rules set forth by the commission, and are then chastised for doing so, that is not appropriate. I may be naive, but I still believe that the purpose of public meeting is for the commission to actually hear and consider the points of the residents. A commissioner expressed that their perspective is that residents who don't speak against an ordinance are voicing tacit approval of the ordinance. However, when the residents do show up and do speak up against a proposed ordinance, the commission member is disapproving. While there may be a 4-inch binder of ordinances that the town has in place, that does not mean residents give blanket agreement to all proposed ordinances. The comparison is this: the town of Ocean Ridge complies with all state laws, but retains the right to oppose proposed Florida legislation that is being forced on our throats. Residents in the town have the same right to be heard and oppose any ordinances they deem inappropriate while complying with the ordinances in place. And comment was made that a passage of the ordinance was all but about the authority of planning and zoning. Planning and zoning has the authority to construct ordinances and send them to the commission. They do not have the authority to pass them. It should never be an automatic that any ordinance that comes before the commission is passed. That is the purpose of public comment and review. That is the separation of powers that exists in the town code. Lastly, the town commission has adopted rules for public comments that prohibit impertinent or slanderous remarks to the commission. That same respect should be extended from commission to residents. Thank you.
Thank you. We have other public comment.
Let me check the chat box. Okay, I do have just a message from Lisa Ritoda, just asking to ensure that you guys speak closer to the microphone and just make sure to speak facing it, not facing away from the microphone, because it does disturb the sound.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, thank you. Mayor? Yes, I have Ron Bennett on the phone, and he would like to present the audit at this time, if you so wish. Absolutely. Okay, Ron, go ahead, please.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry for the technical problems. I don't actually know what's going on. It says my microphone is working. I was on a conference earlier today and it was working, but in any event, we'll do it by phone. I wish I could be there in person, but last minute the world has changed radically, so we'll forge on as best we can.
Okay, Ron, can I just interrupt you just for one moment? Can you speak very loudly so everyone can hear you?
Okay,
Thank
let me
you.
try and turn up the volume too. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I turned the volume up to max here on the phone. First, I'd like to thank the town for allowing us to serve as your auditors once again in 2019. And we appreciate the opportunity, and I'd like to congratulate the management staff for doing an excellent job. Tom, they do a good job, and they're a pleasure to work with. With that, if you have a copy of the audit report, I'd like to point out that there are actually 4 reports in the document. Originally, audits were just to render an opinion on the financial statements, and we still do that, but in governmental audits, there are other requirements. And so if you look on pages 1 through 3, you'll see an independent auditor's report. That document contains the financial statements, and I'm happy to say that again this year we found that they're fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And then if you go down to pages 64 through 69, that's the last 3 documents in the report. You'll find an independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance and some other matters. That report is required by generally accepted government auditing standards. And again, I'm happy to say that you got essentially a clean opinion there. We didn't find anything that needs to be reported as far as problems in internal control or compliance. The third report is a management letter required by the Auditor General of the State of Florida on page 66 through 68. And the final report is another report required by the Auditor General of the State of Florida, which is a report on compliance with Florida Statutes 218.415. That's the statute that specifies the types of investments that the municipalities can invest in. And I'm happy to say that the town is in compliance with those requirements. go with me, to the first page of executive page 2, you'll see a 5-year summary of the governmental revenues. And total governmental revenues increased 13% from 2018 to 2019. They went from 6.5 million to about 7.4 million, or an increase of about 851,000. And that's due almost entirely to two categories. First, property taxes increased $398,000, or about 8.4%. Licenses and permits increased $401,000, and that's primarily due to building permits increasing drastically. And there were a few minor increases, $20,000 on utility service taxes, about $40,000 on interest income because the interest rate environment had gone up, and other for about $30,000. So that's good. You got a 13% increase, and like I said, primarily due to two areas. If you look on page 3, you can see this in picture in a graph, and to me that makes more sense. You've been edging up slightly over the last 5 years, but you had a significant increase this year. One of those is probably non-recurring, the building permits. If you build a few very large houses, very expensive houses 1 year, you get a big jump in that. The next year it might decrease significantly. You go to page 4, again, we got a table this time. It's the expenditures, the money going out. Total expenditures increased 5.1%. They went from about 6.4 million to about 6.7 million, and it's due almost entirely to an increase in public safety. Not surprising, since that's by far and large the largest expenditure. It's about 3.7 million out of 6.6 million. Most of the rest of the items actually decreased. A couple of them stayed around the same. Public services went up 11%. It's only 73,000. So you had a much smaller increase in expenditures than you did in revenues, which resulted, again, if you go to page 5, you can see this in the graph, and it looks kind of like small stair steps going up and inching up, which is what you would expect. If nothing else, inflation will increase you, 3, 4, 5% a year. So yours is primarily inflation, a total of about 5%. So, page 6, we have a 5-year summary of the general fund's fund balance. The general fund is your general operating fund, and that's where most of the activity takes place. You only have 2 funds. The other is capital projects fund, and you do special projects there, major capital projects. And the fund balance increased $634,000 in fiscal year 19, from 4.8 million to 5.5 million. And we have a breakdown of that. There are actually 5 categories of fund balance. You don't have one of them committed, but from best to worst, unassigned is the type you like to have. That means that those funds are available for any lawful purpose that the town sees fit to use them for. And you have 3.9 million in that. You have another 1 million, about 1.08 million in assigned. What that is that's money that's earmarked for use, and most of that, or a substantial portion of that, is for the fiscal year 20 budget. You have budgeted to use, hold on a second, I can tell you the number a little later. To use some of your fund balance, $434,000 was budgeted to be used out of fund balance in fiscal year 20, and most of the rest of that is, the biggest portion is drainage. You have several items: self-insurance, $160,000, drainage, $370,000, beautification, $115,000, and the subsequent year budget, $434,000, comprises the million. That's money that, other than the budget, that you're going to use this year. The others, you could actually change that. It's at your discretion. You assign it for a purpose. You could reassign it to a different purpose if you saw fit. Restricted, that's the least desirable kind. That's the kind that somebody else on the outside or a law has restriction on that. You can only use it for a specific purpose. So most of that is the infrastructure surtax. You have $462,000, and $342,000 of that is the infrastructure surtax. Another $78,000 is for debt service. And non-spendable, it basically means it's been spent. It's like a prepaid. You've already spent that, but it's very minor anyway. Your fund balance, the unassigned percentage is about 63% of your total expenditures for a year. And what that means is if you didn't get any money at all for fiscal year 20, you have enough resources on hand to pay for about 2/3 of the year's expenditures, which is a good balance. Again, you see a graphical presentation. This is on page 7, where the non-spendable is the largest portion, which is kind of unusual. Good spot. Those are the fund basis financial statements. The last 2 pages are actually a dual presentation of your financial statements. You have a fund basis, and you have only government fund types, which are presented on the modified accrual basis of accounting. They have a separate presentation. Your first 2 financial statements, the statement of net position and the statement of activities, are done on the full accrual basis. And what happens there is you bring in the fixed assets, your capital assets, your debt, long-term liabilities, and pension liabilities, OPEB liabilities, and that sort of stuff. So it gives you a different picture that you don't really work with during the year, but it gives you the total financial picture. And again, here for good, your total net position, that's your equity, increased about $96,000. And over on page 9, you can see where that comes from. That $95,000 is the change in net position. See that at the bottom. Your total revenues increased about $785,000. The expenses increased $855,000, and you wound up with approximately $14 million in net position. Anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. And if you don't think of it tonight, by all means, give me a call. You can reach me at my office. Even though I might not be there, they'll forward the call to me, and I'll call you right back. And I realize this is unusual circumstances, and it's not as easy to communicate, but we can get it done.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Open it up for commission comments and questions.
No, it's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
I have one comment that I would like to make. We had everybody that has not seen this report. There's a tremendous increase in the investment earnings that we had from 2018 to 2019, and even from the years before, there's a huge jump going from 24,600 to 74,400. That is thanks to good strategy, investing our money that we have sitting in accounts, and Phil has been, from what I remember, a good part of that, getting us a whole new strategy on investment. That's $50,000 that we have more than we didn't have the year before, and I would like to thank the staff and Phil for taking the initiative and making that happen. Thank you.
You're welcome, but Tracy did most of the work. She did the legwork. She did a great job.
Thank you, Bill. You're a good team. Okay. I would like to entertain a motion for accepting the fiscal year 19 annual audit. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you next year, Mr. Bennett. Okay. Moving back over to our position in the agenda. Clerk Armstrong, would you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Adopt minutes of a regular Town Commission meeting of April 6, 2020. Adopt minutes of special Town Commission meeting of April 21st, 2020. Adopt Public Works Supervisor job description. Approve expenditure for stormwater pipe repairs near 5455 Spanish River Drive. Approve expenditure for Hudson Ave flap gate repair. Previously, item number 8. Approve expenditure for repair to drainage lines at Tropical Pump Station.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for approving the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any comments? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes unanimously. All right, moving on to regular agenda items. Resolution number 2020-13, amending the Town Commission Rules of Order and Procedure. Manager Stevens, would you like to give us, Clerk Armstrong, could you please read the resolution title into the record?
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, adopting the attached rules of orders and procedure for the Town Commission and providing an effective date.
Now, Manager Stevens, would you like to please advise us on this item?
Absolutely. So as you know, the Town Commission adopted the current rules of order and procedure in February of 2019. At that time, it was mentioned by the Commission that the Town Commission may reaffirm its policies as things progress over time. Since we typically review policies on an annual basis and the new commission has just been seated, I have submitted the draft amendments for Town Commission discussion and consideration. And if you have any questions related to the content, we do have our town attorney here who may be able to answer any legal questions you may have.
I guess my first question, and I do like the fact that we review them on an annual basis. I think that is important because everybody brings something new to the table each time we go through an election cycle. Could you tell me the intent of what the changes were? Is it adding new information? Is it simplifying? Is it expanding? Is it replacing in different orders? What was the intent of these changes here?
No, and there really isn't any intent. It's just basically reviewing the policies on an annual basis to see best practices. So we review policies and ordinances of other towns to see kind of what the best practices are. So there wasn't really any intent. It's just an annual review.
Okay. I'd like to now open the floor for public comment.
We do have Janet Shines. Janet, are you there? Janet?
What happens if you click her?
Okay, so Janet Shines, 111 Dolphin Bend. I wish to address what could appear to be draconian measures being taken in the redrafting of this notice by commissioners. The old verbiage was focused on all commentary, including the members of the commission. Please be read the first line. The Town Commission is committed to maintaining civility in public and political discourse and expects the public to do the same. All comments by members of the commission, advisory board members, etc. The new verbiage seems to be focused on allowing the commissioners to have their say, while staff and town individuals are further limited in their commentary with extremely strict punishment. This appears to fly in the face of our freedom of speech while allowing the commissioners to have the same. It states town staff members and those individuals who address the commission or its appointed boards or committees. Personally, I have been ridiculed by a member of the commission over my Airbnb short-term rental position about wanting to protect my property right. Also, not allowing people to speak on this meeting is also a violation. I should not have to chat my comments.
Okay, is there any other public comment? What do we think? What do we think the problem with the
mics? Not with the mics, no.
The voices.
Janet,
Hey, Carla, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Roy?
Hey, this is Roy Shines. For whatever reason, just a second ago, I could hear Janet saying, I'm here, but none of y'all could hear her. So I'm not sure what's going on with the technology, but thank you for reading her letter, but clearly something's not working.
Okay, so Ann said that my voice is coming across as a major echo and hard to understand. So, yeah, my voice. So I might try to be a little bit away. But besides that, we don't have any more public comment.
Okay. Would it please the commission to take a 5-minute recess to try to figure this out? I don't mind if that'll help. Do you think?
Sorry, I think we should. Wow, that's a lot of echo.
Okay, I'd like to call a 5 recess, try to figure out if that means something else. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Commissioner Bessler, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Is my echo coming across?
I don't hear you as an echo at all. The only time I heard the echo was when Roy was talking.
Okay, because I think,
The second time.
yeah, I think it was both Mr. Shines and Janet that were both unmuted.
But
Let
the
me
one thing
see.
is, Zoanne wrote that Carla's voice is coming across as major echo and hard to understand. And at that point, I didn't have any echo. It wasn't until afterwards. But it's anybody's guess what's wrong.
Roy, can you get back and let me know if you can, let me try, where are you? Mr. Shines, can you speak? Let me see if I can, oh, I can't even. And now Phil is echoing.
I'm echoing? I didn't do anything.
I don't hear an echo.
Yeah, so Anne just said Phil is echoing.
You know what? I picked up my phone. I was going to call Roy to let him know you wanted him. Oh, he arrived. Where's Janet did. Let me hide my phone again then.
Okay, so Anne said it's clear now? Okay. Okay. Mary Kate Lemming, no echo. No echo for Robert
But can
Adams.
anyone talk besides Phil?
Yes, can anybody test it out? Mr. Shines, I unmuted you. Can you try talking?
Yes, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can hear you fine, yes.
Okay,
No
great.
echo
Great.
for me on that one.
Okay.
Great.
So I'm gonna unmute you, and I'm gonna try
I did this on
try
my
somebody else.
iPhone versus the computer. So this is my iPhone.
Try Rick Carey.
Okay, so let me see if I can unmute somebody else and have them speak.
Versus the computer.
Okay.
You get it?
So Anne, I'm gonna unmute you. Oh, well, I can. I don't know if maybe you're not using.
Rick Carey or Mary Kate.
Mary Kate? No, there. I guess they're not. They're not using a device that.
This is new for them.
Okay, let me. Janet, you show as unmuted. I don't have you muted.
Would it help if I gave Janet my phone?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Because
she seems to unmute it, so I don't know why.
Is it someone who called in can talk, or somebody that's using the web cannot? Is that the difference? Or?
It should be allowed in both. If your computer has speaking capabilities, just when I was in the special town commission meeting, I was on the web.
Hi, it's Janet. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I'm on Roy's line, and just I think what's happening is anybody that's joined on their desktop, I use it all the time. You guys know I was on my desktop this afternoon at the 2 o'clock meeting, and I had no problem. So there's something definitely wrong with the platform. And people were really having trouble. So do you want me to reread my public commentary, or how do you want to restart here?
I mean, it's up to you if you want to, I already read it into the record. If you want to say, if you just want to add on or say it yourself, you can. You still have the same 3-minute time.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna reread it because I think it was very hard to hear you. For some people, there was some bad echoes. So Janet Shines, 111 Dolphin Bend. Again, I wish to address what could appear to be very, sorry?
Hold on, we have to,
Yeah, you may want to
hold on,
restart.
Janet.
You know, if the recess is over, then go ahead and reconvene the meeting.
Thank you. I'd like to reconvene the meeting. Please, if you could use the phone and set your laptop, it might help. Please go forward, Mrs. Shine.
Okay, thank you. I wish to address what could appear to be draconian measures being taken in the redrafting of this notice by the commissioners. The old verbiage was focused on all commentary, including that by members of the commission. If you read the first line that's been redacted, it said the town commission is committed to maintaining civility in public and political discourse. And it goes on to say all comments by members of the commission, advisory board members, etc. But the new verbiage seems to be focused on allowing the commissioners to have their say, while staff and town individuals are limited in their commentary with extremely strict punishments. This really appears to me to fly in the face of our freedom of speech while allowing the commissioners to have theirs. It states town staff members and those individuals who address the commission or its appointed boards of committees, etc. Now, personally, I've been ridiculed by a member of the commission over my Airbnb short-term rental positions about wanting to protect my property rights. And even earlier today, a group of people were laughed at when they requested public commentary be on the record as a key issue. I think granting the commission carte blanche to speak in whatever manner they wish, while the residents who speak up and might be disagreed with only have the course of action after being thrown out or sat down of an appeal to a government agency where they have their own strict rules, is unfair. I would remind the commission that respect and engagement is a two-way street, something I believe that some of our commissioners need to be reminded of in light of the current situation we find ourselves in and that Polly Joa spoke so eloquently at the beginning. Thank you, commissioners, for your time, and I'd ask you to seriously consider amending that rule to include yourselves in being civil with the public.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Do we have any other public comment?
Hearing none, feel like rather than just moving to motion, I'd like to open it up for discussion.
Yeah, I have a suggestion, saves a lot of pain. I'll sit down with Brian and go through this. There are 3 or 4 areas that trouble me. Not necessarily the additions, but when you actually read what has already been included, particularly 7.3. This is Steve Cos, by the way, to this resident. 7.3, I think we have 4 memos that came in on this, plus I assume we've all talked to various citizens. I have people stopping me in the street about this. They were very concerned after the last few meetings that we had here at Town Hall before the virus hit. And if you read 7.3, it says that if somebody goes to the podium and makes a point, another resident can't get up and make the same point. But at the same time, there's a couple of commissioners that have said when residents don't come up to the podium, they assume that they're agreeing with the proposed ordinance. And that's not the case at all. So it's a catch-22 there. And I could go through this whole document. If we would defer this to June, I could sit down with Brian and I guarantee you that we would have a document that you would all agree with.
Okay. Well, I'm very comfortable with that. I would challenge each commissioner, though, to sit down and maybe in your next round of staff meetings, prepared to provide comments.
Why don't I'll try to get mine done early, so when you guys sit down, there'll be
That would be great.
individually. Okay.
That would be great. Okay, so we are not going to move this to motion, correct?
A motion to defer.
A motion to defer. Do I hear a motion to defer?
Make a motion.
May I? This is Martin. I thought the way that I read this was, and this is specific to the Mrs. Stein's comment, I thought that there was something in there that we were held to the same standard as far as the civility with the public.
8.2 is, yes.
That's what yes, correct. The addition there says that we have to be held to the same standards. And I think it's an absolutely fair point. Obviously, we have to give the same credit as we expect the public to give to us.
Clerk Armstrong.
Commission, there has in the chat somebody that just joined would also like to comment on public comment if you want to open it up again.
Probably because of this problem. Absolutely.
Stella Cope. Okay, Stella, are you there?
Janet says her line needs to be unmuted. Stella's line.
Okay, I'm trying to look for her name. Okay, let me try this. Hello, Stella?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I have a friend of mine who tried to get through with his cell phone, and I'm trying to do it, but I could hardly hear anything that anyone is saying at all. So it's hard for me to even make a public comment, and that, you know, that's really what I want to tell you all. I do believe that what Janet is saying, I think that she was saying that civility should be between the townspeople, but also the commission. So if that is an ordinance, which I am not sure what is going on, honestly, I cannot understand what's going on here. Everyone's being blocked because of being muted and unmuted. I don't get all of this technical stuff. But I do think the commission owes us the same respect that we owe you. Thank you. If you can hear that.
Thank you, Mrs. Cole. Is there any further public comment? Hearing none, did we go ahead and do our motion? We move to defer. We need a second?
Second.
All those,
I move it or second it?
I'll second it. You move. All right.
Fine.
All those in favor of deferring to June meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Okay.
By the way, there's a typo in there too. There was a typo on page 4.
Can I ask a procedural question while you're doing that? It says call it 02030405, but Carla found Stella as caller 4. So is that why are some people anonymous and some not?
If somebody calls in,
They're anonymous?
yeah, because there's no way for them to put in their name through calling in.
Moving on to regular agenda item number 3, appointments to open positions on the Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning Commission. Town Clerk Armstrong, can you please advise us on that?
Mayor and town commissioners, annually after elections, the new commission must appoint planning and zoning and board of adjustment members to the seats that are up. Several appointments to various boards will lapse and need to be filled. In the planning and zoning commission, there are 3 regular planning and zoning positions available for 3-year terms. The regular members are currently Penny Konsinski and Mark Marsh, and they have both expressed a desire to remain on the commission. The alternate members are currently Neil Hennigan and James Lemming, who both indicated they would like to be considered for the regular position. Resident Arthur Siv and Matt Gracie have expressed interest in becoming a regular planning and zoning member. Their resumes are attached. Incumbents are not required to submit a resume or letter of interest. If an alternate is chosen to fill a position of a regular member, then the town commission must choose another candidate to become an alternate. In the Board of Adjustment, we have 2 regular Board of Adjustment positions for a 3-year term available. one regular Board of Adjustment position for a 2-year term available, and 2 alternate Board of Adjustment positions for 2-year terms available. Regular member Betty Bingham and temporary regular member Kimberly DuPompeo.
May I just ask you, I would like to separate these two, I'd like to continue, but I would prefer your explanation about the planning and zoning, then we do the planning and zoning, then get your explanation about the Board of Adjustments, because it's becoming like a juggling act at this point.
Okay.
Because there's so much going on. No fault of your own, I just think it might make it a little bit simpler.
Okay, so we're gonna proceed with the planning and zoning. So you guys will be voting by ballots because that was approved at the April 21st, 2020 meeting. The ballots have been distributed for different rounds. So all present commissioners will place their vote on the ballot. Commissioners attending virtually will text their vote to the town manager's town cell phone, and she will indicate person chosen on the ballot. Text and ballots will become public record.
Can you give me the phone number to text to, please? I'm Phil Bessler.
612324043.
232-4043?
Yeah.
And that's a 561, of course, right?
So my question is, it has a blank next to candidates, so are we choosing 2 on each ballot?
Please refer to the
Planning and zoning one. Planning and zoning round 1.
I get it. But it says choose blank candidate.
Yeah, that's the alternate. That's for.
I got the wrong one.
No, that's
Okay.
in case of.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So for clarification, first and foremost, I want to thank all of the people who are willing to return and serve, and the other 2 candidates that stepped forward and your interest in serving. We appreciate it. Just so I understand, then, we are voting for not by 1, 2, 3, just by a check mark.
Yep.
The 3
Mm-hmm.
that we feel that we would like to see as the regular position.
Yes. If a member gets 3 or more, then they are chosen. If they get less than that and we don't have all 3 on the first round, we have to go on to the second round.
Correct. So whoever is not chosen though on this first round potentially could be chosen as an alternate, correct?
Right.
Okay.
No one who gets 0 gets booted, they're still in the pool.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's, thank you. That was the eloquence I was looking for, yeah.
And you might want to open it to public comment before you guys place your vote.
Absolutely. Okay, I'd like to now open the floor to public comment.
Seeing none.
Hearing none,
Commissioner.
oh, sure.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank, the individuals who put in their resume. There's some very powerful resumes here, including one specific resume, but they're, very, competent. They are townsfolk who want to help, and, some of them have extraordinary credentials.
Just got a message from Janet Shines, 111 Dolphin Bend. She would like to support Arthur Sibb. His resume speaks for itself.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, please do your voting.
Alrighty, so I have for Penny, it was unanimous. Mark Marsh has 4 out of 5 votes, and then Neil has 3 out of 5 votes, which means that you guys do have to vote now for an alternate. So just one alternate, just one, because James Lemming,
Oh, that's right.
yes. So the position, this regular position went to Mark Marsh, Penny Konsinski, and Neil Hannigan. That means Neil Hannigan will be stepping from alternate to regular member. That means his position as an alternate will now be available.
But just for clarification, that means that James still has time on his commission.
Yes.
So we will take him out of the.
Yes, because his seat is not up. He was just wanting to be considered for regular member.
I'd like to open it for public comment.
Just technically, we have to switch to the other paper.
Yeah, so now you're going to be voting on the selection of alternate planning and zoning members, and you're going to be only selecting one person.
Art, Deb, and Zachary.
So, on the first one, who gets the 2-year term?
They're all 3 years. All the seats are 3 years.
That's why this, on the board.
Oh, I see what you did.
That's why, yeah.
Okay, so we have 3 votes for Matt Gracie and 2 votes for Arthur Siv. So the alternate position will go to Matt Gracie.
Congratulations. Thank you, everybody.
We still need a motion, since you want to separate it, a motion and a second to, for the members that won the selection process.
Okay. I hear a motion for the appointment of the Planning and Zoning Board members as selected.
The motion.
Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay. Now, fun part, the board adjustment. Again, thank you to everybody who applied for these positions, and this one is a little bit more complicated, so.
Okay, so I haven't passed out the ballots for this one just yet. In the Board of Adjustment, you have 2 regular Board of Adjustment positions for 3-year terms available, 1 regular Board of Adjustment position for 2-year terms available, and 2 alternate Board of Adjustment positions for 2-year terms available. And we're going to go in the same order as I just listed to vote. The candidates are regular member Betty Bingham and temporary regular member Kimberly Duke Pompeo have expressed a desire to remain on the commission as a regular member. Temporary regular member John Lipscomb has indicated that he can be considered as either a regular or as an alternate. Resident Bruce Hinden, Marian Cody, and Nicholas Arthely have communicated that they would like to be considered for the Board of Adjustment position. Their letter of interest and resumes are attached. Incumbents are not required to submit a resume or letter of interest. And we will have the same process as voting for the planning and zoning. I will first distribute the ballots for the 2 regular Board of Adjustment positions for a 3-year term. I need to know who would be who, so that way I know where the seats are up.
But wouldn't it just be, I don't like what we just.
I confused that.
The way, if you're voting the same way, everybody may be the highest vote getter, so then how do you determine that? So that's, I think that's the reason it has to be done this way.
Okay, so, but overall, there's 3 regular positions and 2 alternate positions. All right, I'd like to open it up to public comment.
there any public comments? Please put your name in the chat box.
This is right, but it's for, even though we need 3 in all, this is for the 2 to take. Yes. Okay. So we'll get another. The 2 that will be around the block. Get another one for the third position.
We're doing the voting on this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Bill.
Okay, Commissioner, do you want to call one more time just for public comment?
All right.
This time I'm gonna unmute the public because for some reason there's people saying that they can't comment. I'm gonna unmute and then allow people to speak.
And then if something influences the commissioner, we have.
Calling you out.
Sure.
Okay, everybody has been unmuted so you can be heard.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Stella Kolb.
Yes.
Hi, I would like to say that I think Mary Ann Cody is a wonderful addition to this neighborhood. She is great in what she does. She's an attorney. I think that her resume, although I haven't seen it, I speak for her character, and I would definitely recommend her. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cole.
Any other public comment? Hearing none.
Would anybody like to your ballot?
Okay, so I have that there is 4 ballot votes for Betty Bingham and 3 for Mary Ann Cody. So they'll be winning the two seats for a 3-year term.
You haven't given a feel yet.
Okay, the next one I'll be passing out. This is just 1 member for a 2-year term.
Well, one person.
Yes, however, please do not vote for Betty Bingham or Mary Ann Cody as they already have.
Just write them out on mine.
Yes, please. And you want to call for public comment on here as well?
I will, and then I'll call for. The microphone is open for public comment.
Okay, everybody has been unmuted, so if you want to say a public comment during this section, just speak up.
I don't care. Sorry.
Okay, hearing none, I will mute everybody again.
Commissioner comment.
This is Martin. I have quick question. We've reached, I think, the idea of having to redo or possibly redo the Board of Adjustment, the setup of the Board of Adjustment to possibly bring it into the commission. I don't know if this is something that is still under consideration. Obviously, it's not under consideration right now since we're voting members. So we have to vote in actually. But down the road for the future, I think it might be a good idea to have one commission member instead of having the entire commission act as Board of Adjustment, which some municipalities do. Have just one commission member on the Board of Adjustment to basically guide the Board of Adjustment. And that the reason for that is the Board of Adjustment is a very, very important thing. Thankfully, over the last few years, we have not had the need to actually meet and to have anything in front of it, but when we do, it's a grave thing that needs to be taken very, very seriously. I think that it would be helpful if there's an additional commission member that sits on the Board of Adjustment along with the other members. So that is something that I'm going to throw this out while we're doing this here, something to be considered down the road.
I'd like to defer that to town attorney. Is that an option to explore? Would that be a voting member, as a voting member?
Doesn't have to be a voting.
Okay.
Oh, okay, and that was gonna be my comment, because the problem that you may run into is, it could be something like dual office holding, and so I've seen it in other places where there might be a council member as an ex officio member to the board, but it's kind of like you're just kind of there hearing it, you aren't voting, you're, and so, and it all depends on how you set it up. So, I mean, that's something that if you give direction to staff, I'm sure that we could, find some places where that's been done and see if that's something that you would, want to do.
But wouldn't that mean you have the ability to appeal the Board of Adjustment decisions? You can appeal it to the commission.
No, it goes to court. It goes to court. Right. No, it goes to court.
You're correct in your assessment. We did have discussions, although they were not ever reached consensus. I don't think we even asked for consensus. So let's get through this vote here. One thing that you did say, though, that I think I'm correct in my assumption, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we do not need to fill every one of these positions. We do not have to vote to fill every one of these positions. So if you feel very strongly one way or another about a candidate and you're thinking that's the only candidate that I can put in, the answer is I believe that we can leave open positions. Is that correct? Correct. Okay.
I think that's kind of rude to the people that apply.
No, it's not. But he had asked as a procedural thing, we have to fill them all. I meant no disrespect to anybody who applied at all.
Okay, so we have to move on to round 2 for this, since, since there was a tie. There was 2 for Bruce Hinden, 2 for Nicholas Arcelli, and 1 for John Lipscomb.
You got enough pieces of paper?
Yeah.
So for this vote, it would be the 2 top.
It would be, I would think, once except Betty and.
Would be the 2 top.
No, it would be the 2 top.
The 2 top votes.
So that's the,
2 top.
yeah.
Which are you?
Nicholas.
I
It'd be Bruce Hinden and Nicholas Arcelli. 2.
I'm going to vote for Betty.
Oh, my God. I feel like Dana works. I'm just thrilled. We are usually begging people to accept these positions.
Okay, so that one regular Board of Adjustment position available for a 2-year term is gonna go to Bruce Hinden.
Hey, Carla,
Yes?
did you get my vote? Because I never got it received. I was just sending you a chat.
Yes,
Okay,
I
all
have
right. I
your
just want to
Nicholas
make sure my
Astley.
vote was in there. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Just got the
So
received
now we
message now.
Perfect. So now we move on to the last section of the Board of Adjustment. It's voting for 2 alternate Board of Adjustment positions available for a 2-year term. And I will, once you call public comment, I will unmute everybody.
Sure. I'd like to open the mic to public comment at this time.
Some people are still going to be muted because of if they're on computers or.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Stella again.
Yes, we can.
I am sorry, I don't mean to sound like uninformed or ignorant or whatever you want to say it, but could you explain to us what exactly the role is of the Board of Adjustment since they have not met in the past 3 years? I appreciate it. Thank you.
The Board of Adjustment hears applications for variances on their properties, and also they hear appeals of the decision of an administrative official such as the building official.
Correct. And as was stated earlier, if the applicant does not like the rendering of the Board of Adjustment, then the next course of action is not back to the commission for an appeal. It goes straight to the magistrate.
Circuit court.
Circuit court.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the explanation.
Absolutely. Any further public comment?
Alrighty, seeing none, I will mute everybody again. Commissioner Bessler, okay. Okay, so we have a unanimous vote for John Lipscomb, and we have 4 votes for Nicholas Arceli. So they will have the position of the alternates for a 2-year term.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all who applied, and congratulations to those who will be on the Board of Adjustment.
And just remember, we also need a motion and a second.
I entertain a motion. I move to confirm the voting for the alternate for the Board of Adjustment. And the regular. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 4. Reference to a building permit refund request for 4 Oxford Court. Town manager's advisor. Yes, I'm going to actually defer this to our town clerk, who also serves as our deputy treasurer. She was kind enough to develop the memo for you with all of the details.
Okay, so as the memo pretty much stated, mayors and commissioners, the homeowner at 4 Osprey Court has requested 100% refund on his building permit, permit number 19443, and a refund for his 2 right-of-way parking permits, number 19443-1 and 19443-2. The permit charge was $11,938, and that includes the permit fee, DCA state surcharge, scan fee, and a plan review fee. And then the cost of the 2 right-of-way parking permits, which is $100. That total equals $12,038. Town code limits town staff from providing more than 70% refund on the permit fee, as 30% becomes non-refundable and is retained for administrative costs. Only the town commission has the power to refund a permit in its entirety. The town has already issued a refund in the amount of $7,990.50. This is 70% of the permit fee, which is $11,415. The town commission will have to choose on whether to refund him on the remaining balance of $4,009.88 for the building permit and the right-of-way parking permit. The town commission can choose to refund him on the remaining balance or a lesser amount. Please note that the state subcharge of $285.38, also referred as DCA subcharge and radon fee, costs are mandatory state fees that have already been paid to Tallahassee. Also, this permit was a major remodel of 4 Osprey Court with construction cost of over $540,000. The permit was applied for in July 2019 and was issued in February 2020. Town staff has spent countless hours over the long 7-month process to achieve approval of this permit.
Okay. Town manager, anything to add? I know that one of the commissioners had asked us what our actual real costs were to expend on this permit, and Deputy Treasurer Armstrong, you have calculated those costs at a total of $2,231.50. Those are our costs that the town has to expend to process.
So Tracy, you're saying, does the 2,231 include the DNC and all the surcharges?
Yes, so we calculated that we took in the amount of time that spent every staff member, and we also, with the state DCA subcharge, it came out to $2,231.50 that staff spent and the subcharge included.
Oh, okay, and any cost that included the engineer? Lisa, looking at the stuff? I was paying her.
I apologize. Can you repeat the question, Commissioner Bessler?
What I was saying, does it also include any outside consultants like Lisa Trepepi working on it?
Lisa Trepepi didn't have to look at the specific permits. That's why she wasn't included. So it includes
Okay.
Lisa Burns' time, since she is the building clerk and she reviews all permits that come in for its entirety. Jean Hallahan's time, since she is the town treasurer and she processes any payments and also refunds. Hybert's time for looking at any zoning, and Wayne's time
Okay.
as the building official.
Commissioner Bessler, I sent you a text with the detailed information.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to open it up for public comment, please.
I will once again unmute everybody that I can, and please feel free to speak up.
No. They already gave them $7,000. They want the rest of the money. No, then they shouldn't get it. No.
May I remind you both that this is public comment and your comments are being heard?
I will once again unmute everybody just in case they can't unmute themselves. Okay, everybody's being heard now.
This is John Crocio. I'm the owner at 4 Osprey. And I appreciate the commission's consideration. And if I understand it correctly, the $2,231.50 is money that the town has already spent. So the remaining amount that I was asking for is 4,009 less the 2,231.50. Am I understanding that correctly?
It'll be up to the commission. The commission had asked for us to do a breakdown of the administrative cost, and the breakdown came down to 2,231.50. It'll be
Okay.
up to the commission if they want to reduce that from the amount to refund, or if they want to refund everything in its entirety or nothing. It's up to the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have other public comments? I'd like to open it up for commissioner comments.
Yep. Phil, to answer your question, hybrid is $180 and state DCA building charges are $285 for a total hard cost to the town of $465. Now, I can understand the town trying to recoup some of the employee hours, but this seems a little steep to me. And I know John's a very reasonable fellow, and whatever we decide he'll agree with. But we've got Lisa Burns, Jean Callahan, and Wayne Cameron. Then we're costing that with, on an hourly basis with fringe benefits. So it makes me queasy because number one, they'd be getting fringe benefits no matter what they were doing. And number two, how in God's name do we calculate these hours? Something seems uncomfortable to me about this chart. I guess that's my problem here.
I also do want to comment that this permit was applied for in July. There was missing stuff, and so it was a lot of back and forth between the contractor, the building clerk, and the building official of things needed. And so it was revision, resubmittals, and so forth.
Sure, but what really happened here, I assume everyone here knows the story, no? Oh, John, who owns the house, owns 3 restaurants in Virginia. He got slammed by coronavirus and has had to close down all 3 restaurants. He fully intends on doing his renovation hopefully in 2021. So he's put the whole project on hold, simply as a financial matter. His 3 restaurants are not providing any income to him, and it was too dicey to move forward with this extensive renovation, in this financial climate. I don't disagree with the math. I'm just saying it's making me uncomfortable how much we're charging John. If I remember correctly, fringe benefits are 20% increase in hourly salary, right, with healthcare and all that. So it just seems we're a little steep here. And then there's a ethical question. If Wayne spent 8 hours, I don't know how many hours Wayne spent at this point, 24 hours doing this, is he really, is that all he's doing during this entire time? He's accepting phone calls. I don't know how we calculate these hours. You guys don't have timesheets or CADs or anything like that. Yeah. So it seems to me it's an estimate, and it also includes fringe benefits for people that didn't do anything wrong. They were just hit by the virus. That's my feeling.
Commissioner Esterlock?
And coming from a background of construction, having had to deal with building departments for the better part of 25 years, the hours that are stated here are pretty much the hours that you would expect a building official to spend on that. I know when I did the renovation and the plans and the plan reviews and all the meetings that happened before and after, and before we got to the permitting process, I spent with the then building official several hours myself, and then knowing how the review process works and what they have to go through in order to make sure that permits are properly done. I think the hours are definitely right. Can we argue about the fringe benefits on it? We're paying them. At the end of the day, we're paying them. I have absolute sympathy for the homeowner and for his condition, for the nature of his pulling the permit. It is heartbreaking. One of so many horrible stories that you hear. A friend of mine has a restaurant up in Brooklyn and is in the same position. It's heartbreaking. The people that are affected by it, not just the owners, everybody around it. But what it leads me to is, does the rest of the town bear the burden of an unfortunate condition that has occurred for one particular owner? And I wish, and I had discussed that with staff in the staff meeting last week. I wish there would be a way where we can go and basically give him credit for this down the road, but apparently that is not possible for budgetary and monetary things. I wish there was something that we can do just to say, we value you, and I hope the homeowner hears us here. We value you as a homeowner, and we value you as a resident of this town and what you want to do. And but at the end of the day, I think it's a heartbreaking decision that we need to make is that the rest of the town pay for it in one form or another, and that's why I disagree. So my reasoning is we refund him everything except the costs, and from what I know, being in the business, I think that the costs are probably right there. Within maybe an hour or two, I'll take the administrative cost charge by the way.
Okay, Commissioner Bessler?
Yes, I've got an issue with the chart that was sent to me. That one fee of $285 isn't in my total.
Yes,
If
it's
you
in the
look,
total.
well, if you look, it says 2231 plus 285 equals 2231. So unless I got the wrong chart you sent me.
Yeah, Carla, it says subtotal 2231.50, and then DCA, and then total same. Yeah, I see it.
So, did we get an answer to the question? Because I have a similar question. If let's say we as a commission decide to, not refund some of this money, why can't this be used in 2021? In other words, he's going to reapply for permits, right? All the work's already been done.
But we don't know what he's going to submit next time. It's going to be exactly the same. Have to re-review. So we're going to end up going through those same charges again, and we can't cross fiscal years either.
That makes sense.
Carla, are we at the right total here?
So the total, actually, we apologize, is $2,516 with 88 cents, including that state DCA subcharge.
You don't finish, you were already going. Add to your.
As far as to giving him credit for the next year, I understand that we might not be able to do this on a written note saying that this is the way that it's gonna happen, but I think administratively, can we agree that he should get a certain consideration and he can come in front of the commission in 2020 when he makes apply for it and have a reduction for.
Or the building official in Tracy could say, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, if they can do it administratively and reduce the fee, then, that we would be, I don't want to hurt, I really don't want to hurt them. I just have to protect the rest of the town too.
And I agree, I was going to say the same thing. I think we definitely need to recover our costs. And we're talking 24 hours over 7 months. That's not a lot, that's not huge. So I agree with recovering the costs there in order to balance things out because this is a hardship. We can call it a hardship issue.
No, I think it's very fair. If
So
it gets
if we-
credit next year, or is it
Well,
administrative?
I know about credit, but because credit's a tough one. But the concept of refund the part that doesn't cover the absolute cost we have right here listed. And then when he does come forward, it's a consideration that anything that possibly the building official could do. Obviously, they would anyway. I don't think we would have to say that out loud, but we will. We'll say that out loud. Any consideration that the building department can give to him to help him see his way through because he's done all this work and effort, all this.
Yeah, what we can do is we can put a note in that file that shows the discussion here at the town commission level, so that if he does come in, we'll have those notes in the file.
Yes, we do need, when you guys do make a motion to suggest the reduction of fee, because the reduction has to come from the town commission.
Right. But if we agree, that's my input, is I would see, take the fee from the 4,000 to him because of a hardship. That's when he comes. That's my.
When it comes back next year, it comes with the same plan, and there's no major changes, and all they really need to do is look over this and say, yeah, this is the same exact thing, and our codes have not changed in any way where this would be a major rewrite or revision that needs to be made. I think we can agree that the hours spent were spent before and have been paid for already, and then whatever other hours need to be, then that can be charged at that.
Yeah, now we
Figure it out.
Consideration, probably the best.
I mean, I think I just kind of want to point out to the commission, I understand what you're after. However, it's my understanding that building permits are based on the total cost of the building, and there's a percentage of that. Is that correct? Okay, and then the town manager's nodding, yes, that's correct. So unless we would come to you all to get some waiver or some change of that, you know, the fee is what the fee is. I'm just pointing that out. So,
Well, that contradicts this chart.
No.
If it's a
Well-
set fee.
No, it's the set fee was the $11,900 or whatever that was, that initial big fee. That was a percentage of the total cost of the construction.
So-
So that's, you know.
If we
He's
just,
already been refunded 7,900 of that 11,000.
I think the way we can handle that though is once you submit the permit next year, we can come to you on your town commission agenda at that point and say, hey, remember this case? Now he's asking for that to be credited toward his building permit.
and I would certainly hope that the cost, well, I understand the fixed nature of the cost, but it's not gonna take the building department this long, to Martin's point, it's not gonna take them this long.
No, but he's going to review there at the same.
Unless it is an entirely different structure.
They still would have to review, but it's gonna take a little bit less time because,
I think we found a good compromise. I prefer to handle it this way because everybody has a story who comes in front of the commission, whether it's a good story or a bad story. And I really am very conscientious about the precedent that we set when we start to reduce things for one person and potentially not. If we could work towards that, and I think that it shows the homeowner that we do value them being here in town. I mean, we've already refunded almost $8,000 to begin with, so you know, this is just the last little bit of it.
If I may, just so this is clear, because everybody that is listening here online, the original $11,900 permit fee for the construction that was proposed, the difference between what we have here with 2,500 and the 11,900, that is not a profit to the town in its entirety. There is profit in it, but this is not just profit. There's further inspections that are necessary. There's further administrative work that is being done while the permit is in action. And this is not, as a reference point, well, town is making a tremendous amount of money.
I'd like to entertain a motion, if somebody could, put that one in. And one as well.
Well,
We have an amount, what is the refund that would be minus?
2516.88.
Well,
Should be
$4,000.
$1,493.
Yeah, 1,400, what is 1,493?
93, 1493.
Correct. So I would move to refund the homeowner $1,493, and we will take up the next step when back to you
And a note put in the file.
and the notice. Will I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 5, the agenda, land development permit time extension for Kerrigan project on Thompson Street. Town manager, advisor.
Yes, the land development permit for a replat of the Kerrigan property on Thompson Street was initially approved March 2017 and requires off-site improvements that need to be completed as part of that permit. The property owner is requesting another 6-month time extension as per section 64-112 of the town code. Town engineer's letter is attached that explains the need for the extension. For your information, the town required that the property owner give the town a letter of credit so that the town could complete the required off-site improvements if the property owner fails to do so. The irrevocable letter of credit expires on May 4th, 2021. We have the section 64-112 there for you, so you can see what those extensions fall under. And if you have any questions, I may or may not be able to answer. This is project has been running through our town engineer.
Okay, I'd like to first open it up for public comment, and then we'll move to commission comment.
Okay, I have unmuted all. Please state your name and address if you'd like to speak.
Okay, I hear no public comment. Please mute. And we'll open it up to commission.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, my name is Amalia Santiago from 20 Tropical. I was wondering, I thought I saw an agenda item in an earlier version pertaining to the beach access at the end of the street. I didn't see it anymore. I was wondering what happened.
That is not on the agenda for this evening. I don't believe it was ever on part of the review draft either.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. So back to item agenda number 5. My question is, how much is this standby letter of credit?
I have to pull the original file to answer that question. It's enough, I can assure you it's enough that if we had to take over the project, if they stopped, that we could use that letter of credit to complete the project.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Any other commission comments? Lisa seems to think that this is the source of the property and you're working with the town and what when that extension.
Yes, and some of it was not the fault of the owner or the contractors. There are things that have come up during the project that they had to take care of, and they've been waiting for state agencies and other agencies.
Martin, I actually picked up the phone and I called Mr. Kerrigan and spoke with him about this. They have been really vigilant in their approach to how they run the project, and they've been thrown every kind of obstacle, good and bad, at them, and they have worked with the town on every single one of these issues, have been very diligent about it. And one, I wanted to comment that it's great to see that they are on top of it. For point of reference, they were, Mr. Kerrigan was originally asking for a 1 year. The 1 year extension I would have had a problem with, and I expressed that to him too, because the letter of credit is running out basically before the 1 year extension. Getting automatic extensions due to the virus right now. There's like timelines that have stopped, where the letter of credit will not stop. The letter of credit will expire at a certain date. So the 6 month extension would be the last extension that he can get with this particular letter of credit. But he feels strongly that he can finish the project before that time. So I'm all in favor of giving the extension forward.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion for a approval of a permit.
Still for the vote.
I move to give an extension to the Kerrigan project for an additional 6 months. That's it.
I'll second it.
Extension will expire on November 4th, 2020. Record.
And the letter of credit has already been,
Commissioner Bessler already seconded.
okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. On to agenda item number 6. Pertains to contract with Foster Marine for public work construction services. Manager Stevens, can you please advise?
Certainly. From time to time, the maintenance and repair of the town's stormwater systems become so compromised that new piping and catch basins are the only remedy, as repairs cannot be made. For example, the 5455 Spanish River Drive project involved a total pipe replacement due to a crushed pipe, and that work was performed by Foster Marine. Foster Marine is familiar with the town's infrastructure and is owned by the original contractors who built the South Face pumping systems, the Woolbright detention area, and the Hudson Avenue roadway, water main, and drainage improvements. They are also the contractors who install and repair red valves and flat gates at drainage outfalls. This is a niche service. Staff recommends approving the attached agreement for construction services for public works projects with Foster Marine, utilizing the contract piggyback option with the Village of Wellington contract that was obtained through the competitive selection process.
Thank you. I'd like to now open it up for public comment. Please unmute. Okay, hearing no public comment, I'd like to open it up for commission comment or questions. Pretty straightforward. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agreement for construction services for public works projects with Foster Marine as submitted, and authorize town manager Stevens to sign the agreement.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to number 7. Ooh, we're on a roll now. I kind of feel like this is a copycat of number 6. But yeah,
It is somewhat.
But number 7 is a contract with Underland Group for stormwater infrastructure maintenance and repair. Town manager Steve.
Yes, as you may know, the town signed a contract in 2017 with Televac for the purpose of storm drain maintenance or repair, utilizing the contract piggyback option as opposed to going out to bid for the service. The town has budgeted for this service for the past several years, including FY20, and we're satisfied with the services of our current provider. However, there are times when Televac is not available to service our needs on time-sensitive projects due to other obligations that they have with other communities. Staff recommends approving the attached agreement for storm drain maintenance and repair with Hinterland Group, utilizing the contract piggyback option with the City of Palm Beach Gardens contract that was obtained through competitive selection process.
This is a point of question. Could you explain to us the piggyback portion of it?
So what happens is other towns go out to bid for contracts, and then we are allowed to piggyback on those contracts. So we look at other towns to see what would closely mirror our needs here, and then piggyback on the contract. It saves us a lot of money from having to go out to bid ourselves and doing the RFP process. Sometimes we can't find a piggyback contract. However, when we can, it saves the town money and time.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up for public comment at this point. Unmute. Okay, hearing none. Mute. Commissioner comments, questions? To entertain a motion for approval of contract with the Hinterland Group for stormwater infrastructure.
I'll move to approve agreement for storm drain maintenance repair with Hinterland Group Inc. as submitted and authorize the town manager to sign it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That leads us to agenda item number 8, which was moved to consent agenda. So moving right along to number 9. Potential suspension of vacation accrual cap due to the pandemic. Manager Stevens, can you please advise us on?
Yes, at your last special meeting on April 21st, I rolled out information regarding hazard pay for employees. At that time, I mentioned that since we could be in the position in the future of losing some of our workforce for a period of time due to COVID-19 illness, we may need to consider suspending vacations in order to maintain adequate staffing levels and fill our overtime hours. In the event that we would need to suspend vacations, it would be my recommendation to suspend the vacation and compensatory leave accrual cap of 210 hours in order to ensure that none of our employees would lose their earned benefits. In that instance, all employees with over 210 accrued hours would be able to accrue up to 250 hours and then cash in up to 80 hours of earned leave during this fiscal year, as opposed to just the standard 40 hours that they're afforded to cash in now. This approach will ensure employees do not lose benefits that were earned and will draw down on the accrual liability on our balance sheet. I've attached a spreadsheet created by our treasurer that shows which employees would qualify to cash in up to 80 hours of vacation or comp time during this fiscal year in the event that the town would need to suspend vacations and what that liability would be for the town. I just want to make it clear that this isn't something that we want to do. This is only in the event that we would have to do this if we start losing our workforce due to illness.
Okay, I'd like to open it up for public comment at this time. Please unmute.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Okay, hearing none, please mute. Open to commissioner discussion.
Obviously something nobody wants to do, but I think it's a good compromise.
We're only giving Tracy the ability to do it.
Right, correct, but
We're
you
not
said it
doing
doesn't have to be,
Right.
but if necessary.
And if this is necessary, we got bigger problems.
You know, yes, but half of our staff is out. Right.
Yeah,
But thinking ahead, being proactive.
yeah. Proactive, not reactive. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'd entertain a motion for approval of item number 8, suspension of vacation accrual cap due to the pandemic.
I move to authorize Town Manager Stevens to suspend litigation and comp time accrual cap of 210 hours in the event that she needs to suspend vacations due to COVID-19 and allow employees to accrue up to 250 hours of vacation and comp time. Those employees exceeding 210 hours of vacation and comp time accruals are authorized to cash in up to 80 hours during this fiscal year.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna-
Oh, you're an aye?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, on to staff reports. Town Manager Stevens.
Yes, Municipal Clerks Week held on May 3rd through 9th, and National Police Week held on May 10th through 16th gives us an opportunity to recognize our town clerk, our assistant town clerk, Kathy, and all of our police officers in Ocean Ridge. If you speak with them, please thank them for all that they do for our town. Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank our building officials, our building clerk, and our town engineer for all of their efforts in ensuring that the town produced a successful outcome for our annual credit rating system audit. The audit manager mentioned that he considers the quality of work in preparation for the audit to be remarkable. Because of their tireless efforts, residents can expect a positive impact on insurance rates in the future. Kudos to the team. Thank you very much.
I'd also like to recognize the residents who are involved as part of this task force getting it done. Do you have a list of their names you could read?
I do not have.
But you thank them anyway.
I thank them anyway. Absolutely. If I could ask that the minutes be amended when you do have that information available. Thank you.
The majority of our work at Town Hall and the Police Department over the past 2 months has been focused on combating coronavirus and keeping residents and employees of the town of Ocean Ridge safe and healthy. First phase of limited recreational reopening began on April 29th in our county, which includes the opening of boat ramps, marinas, golf courses, parks, excluding beach parks, natural areas, tennis courts, and community pools with strict restrictions. All beaches and beach parks remain closed at this time. I just want to mention that beaches and beach parks remain closed at this time, but this is not something that the town can decide on. This is a Palm Beach County decision, so they will be making the orders regarding the opening of the beaches in the future. County officials have warned residents that if the restrictions and CDC guidelines are not followed, including social distancing, they will be forced to close recreational areas once again. Please do your part in educating yourself regarding the restrictions by reading the county order, including all attachments. Palm Beach County Order number 2020-05 may be on the county's website or on the town's website. County orders are enforced by Palm Beach County Sheriff and all local law enforcement agencies in Palm Beach County. And I just mentioned that because we don't want to see things closing again, and the county is really looking at the data and the numbers, and if they start to see a spike, they'll look at what they've done to open and consider reclosing. So we want to make sure everybody is following all the guidelines so we can move forward and progress. While we know everyone is anxious to get back to normal, our goal continues to be the safety of our residents. We're working with county officials on safe procedures for easing restrictions in other areas such as our beaches, and we thank you so much for your patience as we work through delicate procedures. We have been updating the town's website frequently with new information regarding coronavirus and encourage our residents to review the information. Although Town Hall remains closed, staff is fully accessible to assist the public with normal town business and questions. And then I have one last item. As we move into hiring for a building official, I would like to seek consensus to have Commissioner Vicholek sit in on the building official interviews. I think his expertise in the construction area will be beneficial as we move forward with that process. Yeah. Consensus?
Commissioner Bessler?
Great idea.
Thank you. Yeah. Town attorney?
Nothing.
I'm very surprised with that. Okay, police chief.
So my mascot, they have to come up here on the same.
Yeah.
I don't want to infect you. Please accept the monthly report from March, which is in your package. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Do we have an update as to when the fire EMT station #1 might reopen?
No, we do not. The only delay I understand is COVID-19 and the fact that the fire department over there runs as emergency. They are extremely tasked with other things right now. So I anticipate something mid-day. I have no further questions. I would like to ask everyone to please lock your vehicles, take your keys out. Do not let anyone you do not know in your home. Okay? The public, I know this is the first time I've said it. The public needs to understand that Ocean Ridge residents are extremely polite and courteous. And they will go out of their way to help everyone, including the person standing at your door trying to get in to rob you. You do not have to be courteous if you did not call a pest control man or somebody making a delivery. You can say, I don't know who you are. And if that is the case, call us and we will respond and verify. If they're legitimate, they'll still be there. If they're not, hopefully they'll be leaving as we arrive and anyway. There has been an uptick in crime throughout the county, not just the vehicle thefts that you hear about from a group of individuals which we've been able to identify. Recovered our last stolen vehicle over Friday evening down in Fort Lauderdale, but others taking advantage of the COVID-19 situation. So everyone is on edge. Yes, there are a lot more people in Ocean Ridge. We are putting more police officers out as we can, but please, if you see something suspicious, do not wait 3 days to notify me by email. Please call the police station. I say that because this afternoon, after our budget meeting, I received an email from a property manager that showed me a picture of a male and a vehicle with a tag. And the report said, on Friday night, people were reported by our security guards as coming to knock on the door. When interrupted, they said they were looking for their girlfriend. This particular complex would in no way, shape, or form harbor that person's girlfriend. I'm sorry. The demographic and the age does not match. It never will in that complex. It's just one of those things that we ask you to bother us, and that was the thing. Somebody doesn't, please do. We really want to meet all these people. It gives us something to do throughout the evening. That's my soapbox. Anything else? Thank you all.
Okay. Building report. Is there anybody to present the report as submitted?
No, we were supposed to have our building clerk here this evening. She is out there.
The only thing that I'd like to mention is, in case, for the public, in case you were not part of the goal-setting workshop today, Commission did reach consensus at that workshop to take a look at, have planning and zoning start to take a look at lights within the town and other areas that we might be able to effectuate some. It has been noted that there's more and more non-property owners, commercial developers coming in and looking at older properties, not have the same level on a construction management and/or some older properties themselves that have fallen into. I just wanted to make that as part of the record. Not everybody was on the soapbox.
Can you just clarify, because what you said, I think is a little broader than what we did. We specifically were going for objective light words, I guess we call it, or verbiage.
Right.
Yeah. Not other things.
Well, I don't think now is the time for Commissioner comments. Commissioner Vigilak would like to talk to us about code revision regarding temperatures and demolition.
Little louder, guys.
Yes. So this is item number 14, the agenda tonight. My concern with this was that we had one particular property that I almost daily drive by, and every time I see it, it's an eyesore, which was 6260 North Ocean. It's a house that went, it was actually for the longest time, I didn't even know that there was a house because it has huge vegetation in front of it. And then somebody came and bought it and took out all this vegetation, and voila, there was a house behind it. Much to my surprise. The owners came by PMZ shortly thereafter with plans for a new structure, and they, from what I remember, they presented themselves as wanting to move into the home. They got approval for their project, and then within, let's say, probably 2-3 months, the for sale sign came up on the property. The problem was that the vegetation that was there was taken out, and it was left basically in a condition where the property was ready for demolition. And I understand you don't want to put sod and vegetation back in place for something that you then intend to rip down 3, 4, 5 months later. Construction fence went up because the property was unsafe at that time. There was a pool in the back that was exposed. So what brings this forward, my discussion item here is, I would like to see that we somehow find or have PNZ, instruct PNZ basically to find a way how to regulate the construction fences for how long they can be put up before work has to be done on it. At the same time, the demolition permit, somebody pulls the demolition permit, then has 6 months to basically act on the demolition permit, start demoing the house. What I'm trying to avoid is that we have properties in town that have construction fences and that are basically dragging on while the owners put together a project and then try to turn around and sell the idea of a project while the town is left with which basically comes back to the blight situation, something that is just not desirable, and neighbors having to live next to a abandoned structure basically with no sod, no green space, open soil that is in rain seeps out into the street. So just trying to find PNZ where they can come to some sort of idea where they can, where and how this can be regulated without really stepping on those people that want to do something, but at the same time preventing us from having a year construction fence and for sale signs for vegetation.
There's a similar property at 113 Drive South, if anybody has buy it. They started the demolition, then decided to sell it as a developer, and has left several of the walls still standing. And again, I don't know how long that can happen, but it looks like some floors down.
Yeah, where they leave the wall standing can help with their,
But everything else has been completely stripped out and stripped down.
Mayor, just remember to call public comment. I have a couple.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. Commissioner Vishlak, are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Let's open it up for public comment, please. Please unmute.
Okay, I'm gonna mute in just a second. I did receive this via email. This is from Allison Adams. She is Allison and Bob Adams. It has come to our attention that our property at 6260 North Ocean Boulevard, Ocean Ridge, Florida, 33435 is being called the blight situation by Commissioner Vishalek. We find it disrespectful and contemptuous that a property was placed on the agenda without properly informing us, the homeowner. Bob and I do not appreciate having our good name slandered in this community. As many of you know, we are new here and have worked tirelessly to clean up that property. Perhaps Mr. Washalek is new here also and doesn't know that we cleared a rodent-infested jungle, painted the property, and beautifully landscaped it. Perhaps he should go take another look before dragging our property and family's good name through the mud. We hereby respectfully suggest that any discussion on our property be postponed until we can properly notify and present to address the Commissioner's blight accusation. And then I'm going to unmute everybody to give a chance for public comment.
Public comment,
Hi, Stella Kolb here again. First, I wanted to make a public comment to the police chief, Hal Hutchins, and I want to say to him that he has done an exceptional job. His officers are doing a fabulous job. I appreciate him, and being a woman here alone, although my husband is in Jersey, so I totally appreciate that what he and his company has done for us. That's number one. Number two is I just heard about this Allison Adams house. I think the commission should be aware that although she did buy it and was hoping to live in there, she also purchased another house in Ocean Ridge that's had numerous problems. She's been forced to vacate that house, and now I'm thinking it's like a hardship, but she is making the best effort she could to do something about fixing Lynn Allison's old house, which is next to Betty Bingham's house. You want to talk about blight? How about that damn house that's been on Ocean Avenue, not Ocean Avenue, Ocean and A1A, that's had the tarp over it that I've been complaining about for over a year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any further public comment? Okay. I'd like to now open it up for commission discussion. I think we should probably limit our discussion to the ideas which were brought forth of fences and demolition permits, and not potentially point out any specific property.
If I may, the example was meant as an example, that not as a particular accusation of just particular house, general observation. We have a construction fence that has been going on for 2.5 years, I think, just opposite of the street, on the ocean side. Same situation. I could have pointed that out for lack of better term. This was not an accusation of the homeowner in particular. And besides the point, since I actually wrote this and submitted it to Tracy, they have they have painted the house, they have done substantial stuff to it, which makes the house look much nicer today than it was.
Thank you for that clarification. Other commissions?
I talked to Wayne about this last week, and he was quite happy with it all. And I believe that in the construction fence, Martin, there was some kind of agreement made between Wayne and the homeowner because of the pool you mentioned. When they ripped out all the vegetation and exposed an unfenced pool. So what's the word I'm looking for? The compromise was put that fence up so the pool was secured as well. So it's just like a bad set of circumstances. But Wayne was kind of on top of it and understood what was happening.
So it's the concept here, your original concept, to maybe get some direction to look at time for construction fences, et cetera, so that it doesn't go on too long. And
That is
Correct? Is that where
exactly
you're
the
going?
idea. That is the idea that we're basically limiting, the point where a construction fence can be put up in order to shield something. At the same time, when a demolition permit can be issued and when basically you have to act on the demolition so that it does not drag out and become an unsightly thing for the neighborhood and for the neighbors at the same time. It's a general thing that I think our town can do better and be better. If you're not certain that you want to do something, then leave the grass and
Some parameters for the construction fence, right? That's a
and
good
now
start.
that they have, I mean, you see on this particular house, they have painted it, and now all of a sudden it's fitting with the neighborhood again. It's not the house, it's not the structure, it's the
Temporary green
and again, I understand their idea. Why would you renovate something that you have full intention of taking down? That does not make any sense. At the same time, you have to consider the town as a whole.
Gulfstream went through this probably over a year ago as they started to see an uptick in a lot of their renovations like we have. And they came up with, requirements, and I'm not advocating this, but for instance, if you do not start on your construction within a certain limited amount of time after demolition, you must put in sod and you must have a working irrigation system, which usually gets ripped up when you tear down a house.
They're not alone, but a lot of places do that where it's going to be a temporary situation, temporary construction thing. Therefore, you can't leave it unkempt, so to speak.
I talked to Wayne about that too, and you can correct me after you check the codes, but we already have a code in place. A demo fence can only be up to 30 days for Wayne. And then I think it was within 6 months of demo, you had to start construction. So a lot of these codes are in place, and perhaps people bent them a little bit. Let's put it that way.
Extensions and, because I've been having to come forward with the demolition, going to get our new permit.
But it's something to consider. And the fence that you're talking about here is very different from the fence that's at 113 Island Drive South.
It's been there forever.
It hasn't been there forever, but it's very different. It's not even really a fence. It's a bunch of stakes with a bunch of plastic that goes up to your kneecaps. So I think
Which is legally a construction. It's a safety construction fence. For the lack of a better term, that's what it's used for the legal purposes.
But there doesn't seem to be consistency because, to your point, Vice Chair, the other parking lot structure, they finally put a bunch of traveler ponds out front,
I
right?
think Tracy forced that.
What a huge difference it made though.
Yeah.
Right. But so we don't have any that I think consistently to help with it. That's the kind of loophole we were discussing that maybe P&Z can be looking right.
So, and if the loophole does not exist, if we actually have it in the code, then we should make sure that the building department and code enforcement understands that it's something that should be looked at a little bit more.
And the other thing Wayne said that they should be aware that sodded was sodded or seeded, to his understanding. Why do you waste $2,000, $3,000 on sod to rip it out a month later? They could throw seed, which will pop up in a week.
Yeah, just like it. Do we have consensus then to instruct and look at some of the issues and potentially come back to us after they check what code we do have?
So consent.
So consent? Is everybody in agreement?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, wrapping up the evening. Agenda number 15, agenda item number 15, again, back to you, Commissioner Flood.
Oh, which was that?
Enact emergency order suspending building operations.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Okay. So this is something that, it's for discussion. It's probably not going to affect us on this particular outbreak of the virus, but I think as a general rule, we should probably understand that these type of situations may occur again down the road. We might have it as soon as the end of the year. When you talk to medical professionals, there's a very high chance it's going to come back. And we're going to be in similar situations towards the end of the year. Hopefully not. Only hope for the best. One of the things that I saw when we started to do social distancing was that the construction sites are all operating, and really nobody on a construction site wears a mask unless he has to wear a mask, because he directly works with dust or dust particles or any of that. And that brought me to thinking, well, why would we have 20, 30 people on a construction site working shoulder to shoulder while we're telling everybody else that they need to stay 6 feet apart? So, and I understand that an open construction site needs to move on. Again, coming from a building background, there is a certain understanding to it. My point with this as a discussion is, should we not limit if new construction that is starting while a social distancing is in effect, shouldn't we stop new construction from starting altogether, basically preventing new construction coming online during a situation like that? I understand there's legal questions that come into play, there's state statutes that come into play. That's something that we have to discuss with our legal experts, but in general, I think it makes no sense for us to issue permits to somebody and say, go ahead and bring 20 people into your house and start taking out floors and changing windows and doing all of this work that requires people doing it. That's what counts.
And to that end, I will open it up to public comment.
I did receive one from Robert Adams. Next time, perhaps talk to the homeowners who have a fence and ask them for input on all your rules. Allison, I guess it's Robert Adams, homeowner of 6260 North Ocean Boulevard. Allison would like an apology from Commissioner Vishalek for smearing our name and our property. And I will also unmute now for any further public comment.
Muted.
Hearing none, I'd like to go ahead and mute. There you go. With the construction, that's a complicated but very important thing to consider, because I felt the same way as I would go by an ongoing construction project with 20 people in there, and this is the beginning of when we were all scared to death being close to anybody. With all these people next to each other, no mask, no social distance, all I could think was going home. Because all you need is one, right? To come on there, and all you need is one, and going home and turning and all that. I don't know how, but I understand where you're coming from with that. Visually, that was scary to me. It's like, don't get out of the car and come on my street. You know? But and as a town, we can always have portions of an ordinance or a mandate that are stronger than what is being set down by either the county or the state. I think in this instance, you're correct, that I think that kind of late to the game with this one, but it's definitely that we need to take a look at. And along with that, there have been several requests by citizens to ask that our contractors wear masks also if they are going to perform work in our town. So that had come up. So that would be another issue that I would discuss if we're going forward. If we have, God forbid, another.
We'll just have an emergency. These things they're thinking about for an emergency. If, when, doesn't have to come, but be ahead of the game again.
Yeah, we have another public comment. Do you want to call back a public comment, Mayor?
Absolutely.
Is it a nice one?
Okay, so I'm going to mute everybody, so please state your name and address.
This on.
Did not mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, hi. This is Allison Adams at 5553 North Ocean Boulevard. I'm concerned with the last issue that Commissioner Weissowczek has brought up about building and construction. He's concerned about my property at 6260 North Ocean being a blight, yet he wants to stop construction and building in the community due to COVID. So it kind of contradicts itself. And like right now we have painters and we have people refinishing our floor and a gardener. And I just think it's a slippery slope for him to want to stop construction because then, you know, it just contradicts what he's saying previously. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
I just need to make a comment that public comment should not be directed at a specific commissioner. It should be directed to the commission as a whole, please. That's in our rules of order.
Is it
Okay.
one of the additional rules?
Okay,
No,
so
it's
for all the commissioners, if you could consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, and to that end, I would like to ask all commissioners that as we bring forward items for discussion, this is really the only time that we get to talk outside of sunshine. I mean, we really can't talk to each other. So I don't want to ever thwart bringing commission comments forward because I think it's a time that we really probably don't use as much as we could, and we probably should. And I would just like to say that when we bring things forward, it was probably in the best interest, and I know it was not your intent at all, Commissioner Bichlak, but in bringing things forward that we should try to make sure that we bring forward the issues without necessarily having examples from the residential side of it.
I was going to congratulate Martin. I think he's at the town record. In one day, you pissed off the cops, the homeowners, and the builders. I've never seen it.
Everyone.
Yes.
All around. May I?
You may.
I just want to address the homeowner and listen, I apologize. This again, this was not meant as a personal attack against your house or against you as a person. It's not as I said, I understand where you're coming from as far as the building side of this is concerned, and it is not a personal attack against you. It was not meant as a personal attack. It was an example of many in town that exist. One of the ones that I drive by on a daily basis, unfortunately, that's why I picked it. Unfortunately, that was you. It was not meant personally, and was meant as an example in general. At the same time, the second part of this discussion item was to stop new construction, meaning construction where people have applied for building permits and were or are about to issue building permits. While our building department is working during the virus and can issue building permits if it is reasonable to have these building permits move forward into construction. And granted that this is something that is a very unique situation that we're in the first place, I would think that everybody has understanding that something is dragging out a little bit longer. Clearly, in the interest of everybody, that when the time calls for it, the time calls for it, you need to make exceptions. This would be one of those exceptions when you have a virus situation.
Okay.
Can I have one thing? So, a slightly different matter. Perhaps Carla, because she's got the list in front of her of the various people that are teleconferencing with us, and some of them get echoes, some can't communicate. Maybe if you grab 3 of them, their names, you don't do it now, tomorrow, reach out, and maybe you can set up like a guinea pig type situation to see what exactly these problems are, so we can correct them for the next meeting. So.
Excellent idea. Any further comments?
I'm hoping that the June town commission meeting will be open to the public. Let's hope so. Let's cross our fingers. We want the public back here in the commission chambers with us.
Right. Hearing no further comments, I call the meeting adjourned at 8:18.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.